Well, we are live, boys, technically. We're actually recording this a day early. However, we just wanted to just let you guys know that way if someone's chatting with us, we're not gonna technically respond right away, but we'll try to keep up with all of the viewers that have any questions or concerns with regards to anything we say today. So, with that being said, what is up, Coach? How are you doing, man?
Feeling fantastic, brother. We have week zero football this week, which is an absolute uh, blitzkrieg, if you will,
Hmm.
of an anxiety attack. Considering the fact that I feel extremely overwhelmed with how excited I am, but also let down a little bit with the slate. But we do have college football nonetheless, and I think we are pretty excited to make some bets out of it.
I will just say it's so refreshing seeing football betting
I
lines over
know.
the last couple of weeks just because we've been stuck with baseball, and baseball is a great sport in itself, but it's literally the only thing going on outside of like UFC and golf on the weekends. So it's been I do miss the peak season where we've got football, basketball, hockey all playing together. So that's a bettor's dream as far as all the action that can take place. So yeah, we week zero is here. We've got like a 7 game slate on the FBS level. I'm not sure how the FCS schedule is lined up. I'll take a look at that card and see if I like anything. I know betting is kind of limited when it comes to FCS unless they're playing an FBS team. But we'll start with some news. I know Trey has some. I guess it's breaking news. I'm still kind of confused about the news. I haven't seen it publicly, but my boy has, and he wants to talk about it. So let's get into it.
So we actually came into this episode. I texted you a few days ago, Russo. You and I both know that we were going to start today's episode by talking about the fact that we had an injury related to an extremely important position, to an extremely important week one matchup between two teams. We are not going to start there. We're actually going to start down here in the South, man. We're getting word here just within the last couple of hours. In fact, that Wilson Alexander on X had this first with. And I'm going to quote him directly so that I don't misspeak here. Um, we've got in other words, Mason Smith is being suspended for game one against Florida State. Quote, sources: LSU star defensive tackle Mason Smith will not play against Florida State. The NCAA suspended him for the first game after determining he received an improper or impermissible benefit. He can return in week two. As far as to the specificity of that, we are not sure at this point in time. However, I am extraordinarily confused to know how the NCAA is possibly mandating a suspension, picking the game, and doing this in the world of NIL. So I'm going to need a little bit more clarity on that, which we will get hopefully before kickoff. But that is an absolutely brutal loss for the Tigers and an absolutely fantastic news read for the Florida State Seminoles if you were to choose on betting on them in that game, which we are going to do. Maybe not today, but and also related to that, before I let you comment on that and see what you have to say about that, is we are going to have to play on this, and I hate to do this based off an injury, man, but Cam Rising, it looks like Cam Rising is not going to play against Florida in game one. The backup quarterback is also hurt. Pardon me for not knowing the young man's name right off the top of the dome. So we're looking at Florida playing the third string QB, even though it's still a down year, so to speak, for Florida. Their win total isn't high, man. I'm all over these 4 points that they're getting. I cannot believe that they're still not trying to make this a pick 'em. That may change by the time kickoff happens, but I'll go ahead and plant that flag on the moon now. Give me Florida State in the points. I mean Florida in the points rather.
So yeah, I'm with you on the NIL. Like why? Like what did he accept? Like NIL basically waives that whole bullshit from happening. Like, I don't know why that's a thing. And like I said, it's not even news on Google. You have to go on Twitter to find that. So it still must be a local deal I'm sure it'll get out tomorrow on ESPN or tonight maybe, but that's a big loss for LSU. And my only counter to that is, as far as a betting perspective, is one, Mason Smith was coming off an ACL, so maybe it's not the end of the world that this happens. Like, was he going to play at full strength? Probably. And is he that good of a player to have an impact on the game? Yes. But I really don't think that changes a ton from a betting perspective, if that makes sense. Sure, the game will be impacted, and the betting line is close, so sure, there might be a little impact, but I'm not looking heavily into it. I think the biggest thing with that game is the fact that Florida State does not have a tune-up game this week. That was really the big difference last year. They had a tune-up game against Hawaii. They got their T's crossed and their I's dotted, and LSU didn't, and it showed in the first half of that game. I mean, and not to mention LSU, new head coach Brian Kelly, new starting quarterback in Jaden Daniels. They're all back. They're it's not new anymore, and on top of the fact that we don't have any warm-ups, for Florida State to go and they have the same team as well. That's fair. That's an argument that can be made for the Seminole side, but I just think if you give another 5 minutes, just 5 minutes in that LSU game, LSU wins. And whether you want to blame on the extra point or not, I don't even think they needed that. I think they were going to get a stop and score anyways, just because they found their rhythm in that game. And there's not a lot to take. Like, it's hard to take from a game that happened literally exactly a year ago, almost to the day. But I don't think that suspension has too much of an impact on the result of the game. That's just my opinion. I'm not discounting his like his skill, his name, his recognition as far as a player on the collegiate level. Just I think LSU is just too much this year, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. And look, and you're 100% right. And if you want to, maybe push off the dock with this, I'll say that you could make the case that it's a bigger deal for Utah to lose their quarterback than it is for LSU to lose maybe their best defensive player, maybe outside of Harold Perkins. And a lot of and this is just to be honest, he fits a lot of the boxes we're talking about Mason Smith here as far as to like what you would want in a player, but we would have a similar reaction if Jared Verse were to be suspended, or if but I guess what I'm trying to say is you counted on him a lot if you're LSU on getting pressure up front, and I think their holes are in the defensive back room right now. I think that's obviously a very difficult thing for a lot of folks down here to accept, but your weakest link on defense right now is going to be your corners, and when you've got Jordan Travis and two very, 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 very strong receivers and at least one or two behind them that are capable, I think their game plan is going to be to air it out. They'd be stupid to try to, establish the run. Throw the ball on the team in week one. Let Jordan Travis eat. And so, I hear you. I'm with you. Ask, in a week from now, I might have something different. But just
also, I want to bring up another point with that too, is that at least now, if we're comparing to the game last year, to the situation last year, he injured himself in a freak accident, right? And emotions were like you had to react to that on the fly. Now,
the third play of the game.
Now he's fine. He's not injured. He just got suspended for being. I don't even want to say being dumb because I don't know what he did.
Because we don't know what he did, right? We just know there was an investigation,
right? But as far as a preparation standpoint, now the next man up knows. It's not like we have to react on the fly as far as the D lineman's perspective, because I would imagine it's way harder to react game one, seeing one of your best defensive tackles go down on a freak injury, just celebrating. So I just, I think the game plan for Florida State doesn't change. They have a great running back. They have a great quarterback. I think they're going to mix it up as much as they can. LSU's got a great running back core, and I wanted to bring up. I know you mentioned the corners, the DBs. I heard the UL transfer is making a big name for himself, as well as the freshman running back for LSU. So those were two big names that weren't there last year that could have an impact on that game in a more positive way to make up for the Mason Smith saga. And as far as Utah and Florida is concerned, Trey's been very passionate on the side about this injury and this game. I don't know enough. I know Florida's not supposed to be great this year. I know Utah's a good football team. I'm not overreacting at this point. I will definitely look into it once we get some more clarity on who the official starter, like if that's a thing, what the line moves to. I'm sure there'll be a lot of steam coming on Florida with public knowledge being available on that, especially with us getting a week closer to that. So I'm not as high on it, not discounting it, but we're definitely passionate about different perspective, and that's the good thing that we bring. We bring two different perspectives as far as a betting fanatic goes. So it's good to have two different viewpoints, and we can talk about it and see if we mesh or not. So that's my opinion on that. You're on mute, Coach.
Man, I was getting hot. So what I was going to say is we can go ahead and get right into it. And I know that you kind of wanted to lead with this after we got started, which I guess since we're talking about NCAA and suspensions, I guess we can go ahead right in and talk about Jim Harbaugh. Look, I've actually we've talked about this off the record, and so I guess there's no real reason to hide it now. I don't have a problem if you have an investigation. If you have an investigation and you cooperate and you are told, look, we appreciate what you did. We appreciate what you did. You did what we asked. We looked into this. We have to punish you for something, and we're gonna go ahead and give you an X amount of game suspension, and for you to not fight it, not draw it out, not cast any more light on your team, cast the black shadow of despair, whatever the case. You just man up and you say, you know what, dog? Like I did that. Let's go ahead and get it done. And I think Michigan is going to be okay in the first 4 games, right? Like we're not
Yeah.
They're not playing the they're not playing the Iron Curtain, okay? Like
right.
they're going to be okay. So give me your thoughts on that, because you know how I feel. I don't think this is that big of a deal for him to do. But what I don't like is that we're still mandating this arbitrary amount of games for what seems like different things every time.
Yeah, I mean, so they ended up, like I said, it was a weird thing that happened. So they basically negotiated it down from 4 to 3. I think that was, and basically what they did was the NCAA took like they initially gave him a 4 game, then they suspended their suspension of him, and then Michigan self-imposed a 3 game. So basically, what they did was they got one less game off his belt, and their first 3 games are non-conference. I'm not worried. I've been very high on Michigan coming into this season. Nothing changes for me here. I'm not going to look too much into it. Honestly, it gives your assistant coach and your coaches some experience, as far as, and your players some experience in case something happens down the line. I know Jim's been interested in the NFL recently, so who knows if they offer him, maybe if the Dallas Cowboys job opens up mid-season, if they start bad and he gets offered that job, he might leave. I mean, that's not a crazy thought.
It's not crazy. In fact, it's the antithesis of crazy.
Yeah. So, but with the team this talented, I think he'll ride it out to the end, and I think they're in games of national championship this year. So, not looking too much into it. I was just kind of confused, I guess, initially when the NCAA did it, took it back. But then now I'm saying it was kind of just a negotiation tactic just to get one less game, which now it's just straight three non-conference games. So they lose a non-conference game, which they are, uh, historically they have not done well in non-conference games, a
Sure.
la Appalachian State. It's just I think this team's too damn good for that to happen. I think if they're going to get beat, they're going to get beat by a skillful team like Penn State or Ohio State. So that was my 2 cents on that. Just wanted to, calm the simmer down on that. Simmer it down. Let's not overreact too much. I know a lot is made. Harbaugh gets a lot of criticism for his coaching style and just his personality in general. And I think anyone overreacting to this just needs to simmer down here.
I've been the first person to say that I agree. And because of, like I said, we're talking about somebody that was half in and half out, 2 years ago. And if he even wanted to still be there and yet he comes back and, is the best team in the Big Ten. And, I thought about something when we finished the episode, and we don't have to get into this if you don't want to, but can we like sit down and think for a second about how they were the best team in the Big Ten, but weren't the best team in the playoff?
Yeah.
And Ohio State was the second best team in the Big Ten last year and was by far and away the better team the day that they played Georgia. And it took injuries for them to be out of that game. Now, look, a win is a win and a loss is a loss. I understand that. But you and I both know that the Big Ten, after those two teams, you're really, really hoping that Penn State can pick it up. And you're really hoping that somebody else can surprise you so that maybe you can start to change that narrative of the SEC being the dominant. But that's neither here or there. And I guess since we're already up there and we're talking about conferences, we're going to talk about people who apparently, never want to join a conference. I'm going to go ahead and give you the fact that I was really, really wanting to be on this Notre Dame game. I really, really wanted to. I wanted to do it. I promised myself that I was going to do it. And I just can't. I have no look. Navy in these games always give up over 34 points. That you look back, you and I know how we handicap these things based on previous events. Based on forecasted futures, given the information that we're given, injuries, key, coaching changes, things of that nature, weather, away, all that kind of shit. There's a lot of things to that, except for the fact that we have almost no information on week 0 games, and I just don't know anything about what they're going to be. Do I like Sam Hartman? Yes. Did I love the fact that he made the mesh offense work when he was down at Wake? Yes. They don't have that at Notre Dame. Who's to say that he's going to be, half as good as he was? Who's to say he's not going to be twice as good? So I guess what I'm trying to say is I really don't know enough to feel confident in telling people to, try to go on this game one way or the other. And it's still three touchdowns. So let me leave that alone with the Notre Dame game. And then I'll give you quickly a play that I am going to be on this week. I have a short list because I really wanted to be careful. So I'm going to stay away from Notre Dame, but I am going to play San Diego State on the spread. You give me the money line if you want. Give me the spread. I got it at -2. Let me tell you why. A lot of what you look for is a team healthy, certain amount of seniors, and certain amount of leadership, coaching changes, and how much did the team they're playing in week 0 lose, and how much experience do they get? Well, it's week 0, so nobody has experience in the season yet. So give me the more seasoned team. Give me the more veteran team. This line suggests to me more of a 3.5 to 4 point sort of line. And the fact that it's that low, maybe Vegas knows something that I don't, but give me San Diego State. Give me the Aztecs in the -2.
I agree. And, I have a little parlay that I brewed up, calling it the Fab Five, which includes both the games you just mentioned. I know you didn't want to take a flyer on the Notre Dame game. I think as far as the San Diego State game is concerned, everything that you said is definitely something I looked into. I think the big point for me was it's a MAC team against a seasoned a seasoned D1 team. They're Pac-12, right? Or are they Mountain West? I get them mixed up. San Diego State. I'm pretty sure they're Pac. Are they Pac-12?
They're Mountain.
They're Mountain. Okay. I'm gonna double check that just to make sure, but yeah. With them, I think Mountain. Okay. I just think they're a seasoned team. Never fantastic, never really bad. Ohio's a MAC team. Sure, they've got, you can argue, an explosive offense, but do you go up against that caliber of defense that San Diego State has? I mean, they've got some boys on that team. They always have historically. So I've got the money line on that one. The play I've got as far as the Notre Dame game is concerned is I've got over, well, it went off my bet slip. I'm not sure. I believe it was over 6.5 touchdowns, but for some reason it walked off my bet slip. Maybe they took it down. So this is on DraftKings, by the way. Okay. I was looking for angles in this game because, like, I think with Sam Hartman, I took a look at him. You got to think he had a really good number one receiver at Wake Forest, and A.T. Perry. Currently just got drafted with New Orleans Saints, likely to be, I mean, you can argue he's going to start off as the number 3 receiver in New Orleans. You can maybe argue he's better than Michael Thomas at some point down the line. I do personally. I know New Orleans Saints fans are going to get pissed off at that statement. I've been keeping up with A.T. Perry his whole college career, and he's a stud. Do not get me wrong. And Michael Thomas is a bum, in my opinion, as far as where he's at now. Not saying what he's done back in the future or back in the past. Total touchdowns, they must have taken it off. Let me see.
Is that not the worst? Whenever you find something,
so it was,
and it gets taken off. Is that not the worst?
So it moved from 5.5 total touchdowns to 6. So that's still, to me, I'm taking it. Last year they played and it was really close. I think it was 33-30, if I'm getting that right. That's a lot of touchdowns being scored. I didn't want to play a player prop on this. Sam Hartman's number was like 231.5 as far as passing. I don't know if he's got the skill over there, nor do I know if they're going to let him air it out as much at Notre Dame. Team totals, I wasn't 100% confident in. The over, I wasn't 100% confident in. So it was either take a shot at like the over, or maybe this touchdown parlay or this touchdown piece. So give me over 6 for that. Give me San Diego State's money line. Like I said, it's the Fab Five, so I've got 3 more coming your way. So let me pull those up real quick for you. And I'll give you the odds on all these too at the end. So UTEP is playing Jacksonville State. Another area where it's I wouldn't say a seasoned D1 school in UTEP, but Jacksonville State's making their FBS debut. And they're at home. So here's how I see this game playing out in a nutshell. I think Jacksonville State's going to come out hard. I think they're going to be hyped. They're at home, FBS game, trying to make a statement, right? I think they get up early in this game, and then I think UTEP kind of calms down, gets themselves in the game in the second half. I've got over 13.5 team total points for UTEP in the second half. That's 2 touchdowns. Okay. Like I said, if my narrative is correct, that should hit 90% of the time. Now, if they get up early and they just blow them out, either they'll hit that or they'll lay off the gas and maybe it misses. So that's my angle on that game. So I'm adding that in there.
Okay.
I literally bet this game, this guy last year. His name is Jonah Pinoki. He is a Hawaii receiver. They're playing Vanderbilt. I literally bet this guy last year. I was like, I need a game to bet. It was like one of the only games on in week 0. You know how I'm a player prop guy. I bet this guy, and he had 7 catches for like 105 yards, and his number was like 30. So I was like, he had easily hit in the first half. His number's 39.5. My angle on this is, 1, he's their number 1 receiver. 2, they're going to be down likely most of this game. to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's favored by over 2.5 touchdowns. How are you going to counter that if you're down, let's say, 2 or 3 touchdowns in the second half? Yeah, throw the ball. So that's my angle on that one. And last but not least, Austin Jones, running back from USC, to score 2 or more touchdowns. They lost their running back and Dye, I believe, who was their starter. So Austin Jones is their number 1 right now. And I think he gets 2 touchdowns. This is going to be a blowout game. They're going to likely score probably. I mean, their team total is 48.5, so they're projected to score around 50 points. Sure, Caleb Williams could pog off, but it's not a serious game. He probably hands the ball off more than likely several times in this game. So that's a shot. I mean, if you want to take 1 touchdown on that, be my guess. It's like minus 285. I like the 2. So those 5 come out to plus 2,700. So that's my Fab 5 parlay of the week. Obviously, taking some risks here as far as a week 0 perspective. One, because you don't know, player props. You don't know if these school, like maybe Pinocchio, who knows? Maybe there's several young freshman receivers for Hawaii that are outsmarting him in practice. Who knows? There's not a lot of tea that comes out from those colleges. So and Hawaii's dealing with their own issues right now as a state. So that's my Fab 5. I like your angles as well on I don't blame you for staying away from the Notre Dame game. It's probably the biggest game of the week, so I couldn't stay away from it. So I had to jump on it and find a different angle.
Before I make a constituted effort to not throw up in my mouth, I'm going to go ahead and say that the line on the game for Florida State and LSU has not moved yet. But we do have some more clarification on the matter. Quote, this is Matt Moscona from down south. Update, multiple sources have confirmed Mason Smith and Kayshon Boutte participated in an autograph signing in the summer of 2021 prior to NIL going live. Boutte served a 1-game suspension during the 22 season. He missed the New Mexico State game for the birth of his son and the UAB game for what was apparently the quote-unquote flu. Smith would have served his suspension last year, but was obviously injured. The NCAA made LSU aware Smith would serve the suspension in the season opener earlier this summer.
So why is this news now?
Because you don't necessarily have to come forward with information based on certain specific. You don't have to come forward with certain information until it's absolutely necessary to. Like, for example, if when it comes down to it, you can either leave it be for the time of the game and make everybody freak out, or in the event that like some of the team doesn't know kind of thing. Like I think it's probably best that if they knew it was going to happen, it's better to let the guys behind that person get the reps now rather than everybody just wonder what's going on with the kids. But anyway, so that's the clarification. And look, to follow up, I'm fine with your plays. In fact, I love when you get into the parlays and especially with your individual player props. I'm going to give you, if you're cool with it, I think I'm just going to go ahead and give you what my last couple plays are as far as from a full scope spectrum, since we're in week 0 and it's time to do it. I am going to make one pivot on your play because look, I know I gave you a hard time for the Colorado love, but look, I'm actually going to take a swing at this, and I can't really tell you that it's going to end up in my favor, but I am going to take the over on Colorado State, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to take the over on Colorado State wins for the season, and the purpose for that is because I truthfully went back and searched individual scores based on who they're playing, when they play them, home and away, the percentages, and I came back with at least a game and a half better than what Vegas is giving me. And because I have not yet picked a team that I have never picked in my entire existence on this show to back up, and because I want to participate in the cold weather state with you, I'm going to pick Colorado State as that team this year for my Coach Trey Lay. For I didn't know much about their schedule until I looked them up and decided to play them factor. So Colorado State wins on the season. I'm going to take the over on that. Secondly, I am going to make it 3 years in a row. Trey equals 3 and 3 equals green. So give me Vandy on the over on the wins. I know they still have construction equipment laid around all over the field. They don't give any damns about the fact that they have a game in 48 hours. But nonetheless, I am I am going to play their wins on the total of their total wins on the season. So give me that. I'm going to mark that off the schedule here. And last but certainly not least, I want to make something clear to you. And when I say clear, I mean very, very clear. Just because I give Florida State love does not mean that I'm sleeping on Clemson. And one thing I have found out very, very, very clearly is that people have forgotten that Clemson won 10 games last year. And their down year was still beating Florida State and winning 10 games. I don't care how they did it. They did it. Okay. Like we give credit to LSU for winning the 10. You're going to give that same damn credit to Clemson for winning 10. So do not be shocked if you see Florida State and Clemson play twice, and do not be shocked if whoever wins the first one loses the second one, kind of thing. It's got LSU, Alabama feels to it. It's two teams on the comeback type feel, and I absolutely love it. And if you have anything to say about that, now would be the perfectly awesome time to do so, because I'm going to say stop sleeping on Clemson and never say it again, because I'm over that.
Yeah, and like I said, I've been on that train, man. I think they're being overlooked. I think they're being disrespected from a betting perspective as well. Just seeing that they're, I got them at plus 185 to win the conference. I'll have to go double check that, but I mean that's a disrespectful number. I know Florida State's got some studs on that team, but Clemson's like what's going on here? I don't know. I fully agree with that. I think, like I said, DJ Ukulele was not the guy, and now they've got their man. They've got someone that can actually drive this offense to success on a consistent basis, and we'll see that, man. It's going to show, and I'm looking forward to seeing them do well and Dabo getting the wheels going forward. And like I said, like you said, bad season for them. I guess we're comparing LSU to Clemson. LSU had a good season. Clemson had a bad season. Now they're two different conferences, weaker competition. How would Clemson or Florida State do with LSU's schedule? That we'll maybe never know. Maybe we'll have a super conference one day. We'll see. But yeah, do not sleep on Clemson. 100%.
No, you can't do it. And oh, by the way, just to make it perfectly clear, the win total for Colorado State is 4.5. So we're not rooting for a lot. Okay.
Well, they're not getting one against Colorado. Let's be clear. I mean, Colorado's going to win that game.
Look, I'm out. I can't do this with you. We're not. We're just not.
I think you're on narcotics if you think Colorado State's beating Colorado game one.
It'll at least be fun. It'll at least be fun to watch. I mean, look, I love Coach Prime. I like the way he talks. I like the way he acts. I like the way he only has like 6.5 total toes. I'm all about it. I like my dog. I just have a lot of questions about losing that many players, and we won't get into that. This is my last point, and I really hope that I make this also very, very crystal clear, because I had one of our common colleagues have a statement to me about Texas football, in the Big 12 metric. I've got a couple family members that are absolute Oklahoma Sooner stands. I don't remember what month. I don't remember what day it was, rather, but I remember it being in the early parts of the spring and summer. There was a media availability, and when you're thinking about Oklahoma football has always won, always. So for them to have like an 8-win season, that's looked at as a failure. When I heard the words from Brent Venables' voice cords say culture change, that's whenever I decided to immediately tail on Texas. And I am not the type of person that's been believing Texas. Look, Texas has won 10-win season since 2010. One. Okay, one. That one.
And they're always projected.
Right.
To probably win 10 games.
And that one was the Sam Ehlinger, we're back shit. So they've had one, okay? I'm still not buying the Oklahoma. Give me Texas there if I'm going to go with a big dog. We've already talked about our other sleeper teams. What culture do you want to change at Oklahoma? What is there to change? No. This is recruit and reload. This is not the rehabilitate the program, change everything that we've done. Absolutely not. No. Please save me from that.
I will add on and say I think it was very clear right away that maybe Venables was a great assistant coach, and Dabo led that run there. I think that's very clear because I guess the two big comparisons we see are Saban's assistants over the last 5 years compared to Dabo's assistants, and I think that just speaks to Dabo on how good of a coach he is because you've got guys that were under Nick Saban, like Sarkisian himself. Insert anyone that's been in Alabama. I mean, they've had the best of the best. Bill O'Brien, obviously the Georgia coach. So, I mean, I think, and they've all had success. I think it was very clear last year that maybe he's not that guy, pal. Like that's just kind of how I saw it.
It's bad.
And you mentioned culture change. I agree. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know. To me, that's just like what culture are we trying to bring in a Clemson culture? Because you realize you are in a tougher conference.
He wasn't Clemson. Dabo is.
Yeah. So I think I hope for the sake of him and his well being that he proves me wrong. I don't know if that's going to be a long tenure over there. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe after next year, especially with them debuting in the SEC next year and potentially getting shit on like Vanderbilt typically does, or a mid SEC team here like Kentucky. Once that happens, I think he's gone.
Oh, if he's gone, and we're not calling for anybody's job. Like we're definitely supporters of all coaches and their families and their passion and their dreams. Some guys are just better coordinators, Russo. Some
they are 100%.
And so we've seen this movie before. If he doesn't do well, they're going to be out. They're going to be done. He's going to have a short leash. I don't know. It depends on how it looks. He's going to have a short leash though, and whatever you decide to say, we've seen the coach leaves, they hire the new up and comer thing. How did Mike Norvell get to Florida State? He was great at Memphis. So it's like they're going to find somebody. Like they've got a good thing in Oklahoma. They'll get it right. They're hopefully Brent Venables can make them, make it interesting, because you don't want to be trying to figure out how to put new tires on the truck whenever you get into the SEC. You need to be rolling and have them things broken. So let's hope for their benefit they get it right.
I think he'll be a scapegoat for them. Like they'll probably struggle this year and next year, and he'll be the scapegoat, and they'll rebuild from there. I just want to close with this, and then I kind of alluded to Saban's coordinators. Well, Jimbo Fisher was a coordinator under Saban at LSU, and I'm just going to end with this. The AD came out today and supported and backed Jimbo after last season, after his career basically at Texas A&M. That dude is gone if they don't win 9 or 10 games. I'd say 10 games. 9 games, I think he's still gone. I don't see any point. Sure, I see the AD, giving some quote unquote safety to Jimbo, but let's be honest, he's the number one coach on the chopping block. So don't look into that. That's all I'm saying. They better win 9 or 10 games.
If yeah,
they better win 9 or 10 games.
They better win that. Yes. Period.
And I would even argue that if 9,
They'll bring him back with 9. They'll run him back with 9.
We'll see.
You can't. If he went 5 and
Can't
8.
not
They'll run him
guarantee.
back with 9. He almost doubled his wins with 9.
Yikes.
Jesus. But look, and again, and to close, and the most important thing about week 0 is that we just have college football, man. Like I'm so over camp talk, the injury updates, the this, the that. And even though the slate is light, and even though it could be, more appetizing, we've got 2 ranked teams on the docket. Give me anything college football. We'll be watching. We are not going to have a companion show for week 0, guys. So please, respect our decision there. In fact, Russo is going to be having a time of his life, having a little bachelor party trip. So wish him and his liver the best of luck there. But again, guys, we just want to make something super, super clear. Since we've been making everything clear on this episode, I've said it like 5 times, but we take every single bit of this information serious. We talk about this before we come on the show. We make these bets, put them in our phones, make notes about them, double check, triple check, make pivots. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get this done. And I'm not, asking for pity here, but if you do appreciate what you see and you do appreciate what you love, please give us a follow on the social media apps. It's not hard to find us. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, give us a follow here and a subscribe on YouTube.
TikTok will be up and running this weekend.
I'm super excited about that because we almost broke the sound barrier with how fast we were going to post one about this whole Mason Smith thing, but because we're recording tonight, decided to come here first with it. But let it be known that the TikTok slides are coming, so please get in. Look, I'll dance if you want me to, but that's all I've got for today, guys. And please, by all means, give us a subscribe. Bruce, you got anything?
Yes, sir. That's it, man. Looking forward to week 0. Taylor picks. We will post them on our Twitter. We'll make some TikToks as well with some news in our plays, maybe some new plays that we see that we weren't keen on today. So stay tuned, man. We're ready. See you guys next week.